her background is nerd.
Darren should have gone to school here instead of Cutter, because you are a devil. I can tell you that right now.
She rolls in like she's a Hollywood movie star now. She just she's just here for the camera.
I guess I tooted.
No hard-hitting questions here.
Yeah,
Shall we talk about my one-sentence resignation?
Well, welcome to the next episode of Spilling the Tea in Studio D with I'm Darren Beckwith, and that's Kim over there. And,
Studio B, Benton.
Yeah, well, it could be. Yeah, it is the road show. So, and it's our pleasure to be invited over here and to have as a guest today, Mr. Christopher Mays. Chris, man, we've been going down memory lane over here. So many that's the thing about education that really that kind of gets me. I kind of lose sight of that from time to time is the fact that although it can be a really big profession in the state of Arkansas, but as you talk through stuff, I mean, the connections are there. It's like 6 degrees of separation.
It's
right?
crazy. I mean,
yeah.
When we were figuring out where he graduated,
well, you could
we were there. I could have taught him. He had Miss Newton right down the hall. You know.
Hey, you know what they say? God looked out for those that. So by not having Miss Bennett, he did you a solid.
No, that's not true.
I don't
that's
know.
for
I heard
sure.
she was really good. So
Thank you, Chris.
But
Thank
Christopher,
you.
let's get real. You just heard that from her. I could
Listen.
tell. Hey,
no, I heard it from someone else, and then she affirmed it.
Oh, see, that's what I'm talking
well,
about.
It depends
that's
on.
what I'm talking
It depends
about.
on the source. Who'd you hear it from?
My sources are secret.
I love it.
In other words, he's being very kind to you.
He is being very kind.
Right.
I
I
like
am
that.
The one male in my building, I have learned my place. Yes,
Exactly.
ma'am, you were correct.
That's right. Hey, I can relate. I work in an office full of women. And let me give you some more advice if you hadn't figured it out. If they're laughing in a group, don't walk up and say, hey, what's so funny? Because they'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, ooh, didn't need to know that.
See, even our SRO is a female.
Oh,
so
no.
I've learned my rules. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
No, he is wrong. Here's some chocolate. No,
That's
your dress makes you look pretty.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Every day.
It's
So every day.
It's so slimming. That's the other thing, right?
Great. It's great. It's perfect on you.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Well, enough about us. We didn't come here to talk
Yeah,
about
that's right.
Miss Bennett, the
Sure,
extraordinary.
we can talk about me all the time. if
the
you want to.
extraordinary teacher she was. Okay. But Christopher, if you will, kind of give us your background, maybe where you're from and the path that led you to where you're at, which is 4th grade, correct?
Yes.
At Benton Elementary. We were at Ringgold. I don't think I said that, but go ahead.
I started out, my mom, dad lived in Diamond Head, went to Lakeside. Was really into science as a kid, but couldn't read well, so struggled with that. And, early science was all reading, so didn't have great grades in it. Decided I was going to go pre-med. That didn't work out, so I was just taking some basic science classes in community college and realized I was tutoring a bunch of physics students.
Right.
And was like, I really like teaching. Went to church camps, all this was always with younger kids, so I went to the education field. Got hired at Cutter Morningstar, was their 4th grade science and 3rd and 4th grade science for a long time. And then 2 years ago, this is my 2nd year at Ringgold, they transferred me and I came here. And I've been 4th grade science and I absolutely adore it. It's so much fun. I have so much fun with them.
Right.
4th graders are probably pretty sweet.
Right.
They haven't reached that 7th grade, craziness.
You shared with us a little bit about this off camera, but share a little bit about your story and your mom, how the reading piece.
So my mom was the early time period where if something was wrong, especially at Lakeside, like they'd tell you and they'd hold you back for stuff. And
Right.
she didn't want me held back. She didn't want me to have anything that was going back with it. So I was not fully diagnosed, but they said I've had dyslexia before
Right.
they had the full diagnosis. And I was reading at a way below level. I think I was like 1st at the end of 4th. And they told me they were going to hold me back and get me trained, like some services with it. And Mom's like, no, he can read. And so she took me to the bookstore, Books A Million, way out on
Right.
Central.
Right.
And we picked up Harry Potter because bestseller. She went home, read me the whole first book, got me hooked. So 2nd book, she read 2 chapters. I read a chapter. Third book, I read a chapter. She read one. By the 4th, we went to the midnight premiere. I picked it up and finished it before I got home.
Wow.
So I've kind of picked up with that, and I got, even nowadays, I still struggle with reading. I'll stumble over words with kids because I haven't went through it,
Right.
and it makes me like relate with them. But
Sure.
I do hate when they go, I can't read, so I can't do that. And I'm like, well, I can't read either, so let's try.
Yeah. Right.
So it's just fun. I've kind of kept with it. Not the modern movies as much, but yeah, the books is good.
Yeah, we love all the Harry Potter up here with your groups, and it looks really cool. But I think that's really awesome because you have a story that you can relate, and a lot of the kids will relate to you because they do struggle with reading. So I think that's really awesome.
So obviously, I mean, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but was science the area that you thought you would end up teaching, wanted to end up teaching, or?
Honestly, no. I was trying to go to pediatrics.
Oh, okay.
And just did not work. So ended up just falling in, and I hit that middle of community college, some family issues going on at home. So I was just struggling and just picking random science classes to kind of fill the void and get the general credits. And was in a physics class and had like 20 kids. We'd finish class, we'd go to the library, we'd pull up my computer on a board, and they'd help me work them through all the worksheets. And I was like, I'm kind of having fun teaching them different ways of doing it than just the college way of like lecturing.
Right.
And just kind of fell into teaching with that. Still didn't have a clue what I was going to do. Was at Henderson, and Dr. Gavan put me in the practicum for science. And they brought us a bunch of sped kids to do a lab with, and our teacher's like, here's your materials, you have 10 minutes, good luck. And at that moment, one of the principals comes up and is like, you're really good at science, that should be your field. And I was like, well, if you're saying so, I guess I'll just follow that path. And fell into science, and I have the most fun. It's a blast.
Yeah, and I think, too, the other thing, even way back in the one-room schoolhouse that I attended, that's not true. I am a Cutter graduate, by the way. But what I would say is the thing about science that I remember would be the hands-on piece. And as I've become an adult, I'm self-diagnosed, but there's no doubt about it. But, ADD, I've got to be busy, and I can remember science really looking forward to that class for that reason. And so I'm sure you've got plenty of things that you guys do that are hands-on.
Actually, yes. I've been shocking principals for years because Cutter went through a couple principals while I was there.
Sure.
And then even I've had 2 principals since coming to Ringgold. They're always shocked that I do dissections at 4th grade. We are actually dissecting eyes for cows next week. And then at the end of the year, we do squid dissection, which... The kids are always, ew, gross, I don't want to do it. And then it's always the really girly girls that's got like the nail polish and the glitter and the stuff that they shouldn't be.
Katie.
And they're like, give me the knife. Yeah.
I turn around for 1 second, they got the ink sac in their hand, it's just dripping. They're like, look, I found it. And I'm just like, and another year of you just going for it. They love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's where I loved, when I came to science at Cutter, it was the catch-all subject. They have their reading class with their English, their language, their spelling. They go to math and all this. And then you come to science, we're like, let's make it fun and relatable to you and be teaching you, like, how does our world actually process? And I really wanted to turn to Miss Frizzle, but I don't think I'll ever hit her level.
Well, you know what? You talk about, what you do today, but I think the other thing that's pretty cool about your story is your progression. Talk about that a little bit, when you started as a para and how you have built on that.
So I graduated Henderson and didn't have a job lined up. So I went to subbing for a while and bounced around. I went to like Oaklawn, school in Hot Springs. I was out in Lake Hamilton. I went to Fountain Lake for a while. And then I got a call from Dr. Gavan. She's like, hey, there's an opening at Cutter, but it's a para position, but that will get your foot in the door. So I went in, and at Christmas, the first year I was teaching was reading paraprofessional. I was doing Sunday. And really fell in love because small group kids, and I can't do good reading, so it was really fun for us to connect with. Here's some strategies, and I was like, I wish I had this as a kid. Like, it made it more fun to spell and read it through. And then the next year they called and like, hey, you're going to be 5th and 6th grade. And then 3 days before school, they're like, and now we're switching. You're going to 4th.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, pack up the room, run up to the hall. We'll do this. Stressed the first couple months, really struggled. And then I even told the kids, like, I'm really struggling. Can we, like, redo yesterday? Don't feel like it did
Right.
good.
Right.
Had some great help come in. Hint, hint.
Uh-huh.
And then kept going with great help. And even whenever I felt like I got 4th grade, they changed it to 3rd and 4th grade. And I had Dawson coming out like, hey, I need help with 3rd because I don't feel like I'm fully good with it.
Right.
And I just haven't let them go. I'm
Right.
not going to let Dawson go because
Right.
y'all are like awesome to just have as
Yeah.
support. And even though I'm not needing constant guidance or this, like, here's how to help with these,
Right.
it's more fun to have like an idea of a springboard. So it's not
Sure.
like my path's done.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I
I-
love that. I think that's what I'm saying. I love that you've had such a great experience, and
Yeah.
more teachers need to hear that. And just the fact that you're willing to say, "Hey, I need some help," that just speaks volumes of what kind
Yeah.
of teacher that you are. As you're
Yeah.
willing to learn and grow.
Yeah.
Because the specialist, it's a great plug
Sure.
for the specialist
Yeah.
to
But-
come out.
And I think that the attitude you have that you're not done, and that's the true thing about education. It's ever evolving. I mean, and your willingness to to do whatever is asked of you. I mean, that's going to take you far. I can tell you that much. But at what point, when you were teaching, you had 4th grade, then they brought in the 3rd grade piece. At what point do you feel like maybe you hit your stride a little bit that first year?
Honestly, it wasn't my first year because then we had COVID and the kids went
yeah.
home, and then there's not, you don't
Right.
feel.
Yeah.
And it wasn't till at Cutter, it was K through 6th grade in one building.
Right.
And I was standing at my doorway greeting my 4th graders, saying hi to the 3rd graders. I hadn't started teaching 3rd yet. And a 6th grader came up to me and goes, hey, we just hit this lesson in class, and I remembered a lab you did with me.
Oh wow.
And I put
Yeah.
it down as my example, explained it out, and I suddenly understood what we were talking about in class.
Yeah.
And I looked over and I'm like, but that was 2 years ago. How do you remember? Because my memory's
Right.
horrible.
Yeah, mine
Right.
too.
And it clicked with me as like they're actually taking something away from me, and it may not be the worksheet shows me or the journal shows me or even their hands-on show me, but they are taking stuff away and still using it years down the line. And last year when I transferred, that was really hard on me because those were my kids for 3rd and 4th, so I had them for 2 years. And then they would go to 5th and 6th, and so they were hearing I was transferring. They're like, you're coming to 5th and 6th. You're coming to 5th and 6th. And I was like, actually, I'm moving to Benton. And I had 4 grades of like unconsolable children just
Right.
broken.
Oh, it's
And
hard.
The
Yeah.
teachers were emailing me even last year, like as I was needing that supportive, did I make the right decision to transfer? Did I do what I, they're like, your kids are still using what you're using daily. They're still
Awesome.
talking about it. And I'm like, that's where
so
it's
good.
Oh
hit
yeah.
with me. It's
Oh, yeah.
not
Yeah.
like in a classroom light bulb moment. It was
Yeah.
more they've been taking it away and it's useful
Yeah.
as they've went
Yeah.
older in
Yeah.
years.
That's
Well,
awesome.
and as you begin this journey, and I've always heard this, that hey, look, if you go your entire educational career and you make a difference or touch one kid, you've done something. But obviously, in the short time you've been doing it, I mean, you've experienced multitudes of kids coming back and saying, so that's a credit to how you teach and I think you said something earlier too, that a lot of times it is like kind of getting on their level, if you will. That's so important.
And that's where, so like, after Christmas, we get to earth science. And we start with like the rock cycle and all those. And magma and lava for them is horrible. I'm sure you all know. Like, that's
Right.
a horrible thing that's just interchangeable. I still remember Miss Lawler came to visit one of my classes, and she left my room and brought back Miss Baber. And they both stood in the back of my classroom just staring at me in shock because I had a whole lesson about Minecraft. And explaining the
Yeah.
nether to them, and the kids were just so enthralled with it, and they left
Right.
and they said, I have no clue what a single word you said was.
Right.
But I asked a kid, what's the difference between lava and magma, and they knew it. And I was like, it's just their conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just, you have to reach out and try to figure out where they
Yeah.
are.
And connect with them. That's so great. That's
Yeah,
really
and
good.
that's the other piece. You're right. Is even as you teach, obviously, I mean, you have to have an open mind about things. And the thing that really, I think about, this is year 29. I get that confused for us, but I will say this. Yeah, I know she looks a lot older. I get that.
Year
So-
10.
So
Told you I know my
10.
place.
So you're
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
You're 10.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
so the
Thank you,
thing
Chris.
is,
Thank you.
what I would say in the 29 years we've been doing it is kids change, right? But I think at the end of the day, their ability to learn
Mhm.
and absorb doesn't necessarily change. Maybe the method might,
Mhm.
but I feel for the most part, kids are willing to learn.
And that's kind of, so I'm going to show my age for a minute because Lakeside moment. Do you remember when we had the TV in the corner of the room for both all
Oh
classrooms?
yeah. What was
Yes.
it? Channel 1?
Channel 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So I remember in elementary school being really excited the 3 times they put Bill Nye the Science Guy on that TV.
Oh,
and the
yeah.
whole building watching Bill, and you can hear it
Yeah.
screaming.
Yeah.
When I started teaching, the kids had no clue who Bill Nye the Science Guy is, and that hurt
Right.
my heart. Is like,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
You're going to
that's a
learn
dude.
this.
Yeah,
You're going to know
yeah.
this. Yeah.
So I play a video every now and then, just clips of them,
Mhm.
and the kids are still just as enthralled. They may not get the same language skill as we did
Right.
back
Oh, yeah.
then,
Right,
but I'm like,
right.
they're still just as much.
Yeah.
Can I learn from this? Can I
Yeah.
try this? Can I do it at
Yeah.
home?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it may have changed their lingo or how they
Right.
act and their behavior, but you put on that and you can just tell it's the same moment from when you were a kid watching
Right.
it, just wanting to scream Bill repeatedly while your teacher has a migraine.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like you say, as time moves on, I mean, there's obviously today's version of a Bill Nye the Science Guy,
Mhm.
and making that connection and letting them know that this is, I mean, kind of how your love of science probably began on lots of levels, and that person is out there for them, and you obviously are that person. It seems
Mhm.
here at Benton for a lot of these folks.
And science is
Yeah.
so fun. I mean, I can even think back in school, just the times that we did the dissections and that's the stuff that you remember. That
Right.
it's the cool, fun.
Well,
Yeah.
it does my heart good knowing. I learned on the way over in talking with Candace, she was a math and science specialist.
No,
So-
I said,
so-
listen, I said it was a dual role.
Hey, to see that it hasn't been totally ran in the ground, or it's been dug out of the ground since she ran it
Okay,
into the ground. We'll
and
say it that way.
let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Darren learned what a trough is today.
Yeah,
Okay, because
yeah.
who
Science
knew
words,
who knew
yes.
what the trough was?
Okay, again,
Me,
hey, I was
A plus.
Okay, nerd alert. Okay,
I was
so-
guessing. I was like, I think it's the dip of the wave. Yeah.
Oh yeah. She's
According
a
to
born and
the-
bred mathlete.
According to the Arkansas State, you have to know those properties. So,
Yeah.
know them. You just
Yeah.
forgot for a moment.
Well,
Yeah.
hey, when you get to my age, I have people, right? I know
Mhm.
people who can.
I know. I was
That's right.
sitting here a minute ago, and I was like, "Oh gosh, if I taught Chris, I'm like, if I don't remember, I mean, like it's terrible. You had 150 kids every day, and I
Yeah.
I don't even remember what happened, yesterday
Right.
or the day before.
Yeah.
But then I was like, "Did you have Miss Newton?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay."
Well, and I loved his because I was principal when he was at Lakeside, but I loved how he said I worked hard not to come down there. So yeah.
But I do remember when you said that people called you Topher. I do remember the name that you're
And
the
that
name.
there was just so many of us, and so like
Yeah.
we just
Yeah.
over years we just
Yeah.
picked different names, and we
Yeah.
didn't like discuss it because most of us weren't even in the same class. Our
Yeah.
Lakeside class was huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was huge.
Oh yeah, it was. I do remember that being one of the
Yeah.
larger ones for sure.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
such a shock because I went from Lakeside to college,
Right.
and then I started teaching Cutter, and there's
Yeah.
2 teachers a grade. So I
Yeah.
had less than about 50 kids, and then
Oh,
when I
yeah.
taught 2 grades, I had 100. I'm like, this is easy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I came here, I was like, oh no, I've got 4 classes, and like, there's just 96. I'm like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, 150 a year running through. And then everybody changes. Like when you have kids in 8th and 9th grade, the girls a lot of times look the same, but I get a guy coming up to me and I'm like, who are you? I mean, we had one came
Yeah.
as a senior and I was like, no, he had, grown 3 foot. I mean, it was seriously, I'm not
Oh, yeah.
exaggerating. I mean,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
But the
great.
the other cool part about education is, I mean, like I said, I was first grade through 12th grade. We didn't have K when I started school at Cutter.
Now, see, he is old.
So,
No kindergarten.
but the next year it was state mandated. But so anyway, long story short, whatever your experiences are as a student, as a para, as a teacher, it all pours into what you're doing today, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So like I had some really good science in high school. I can still remember like the labs of going out and we went to the creek and did environmental science out there.
Right.
Or my chemistry class where we cooked every Friday because why not? Especially for AP chemistry. Or physics, building roller coasters and doing the old school where you pulled the remotes out of the little plastic container and you only had 4 buttons to press to play the game on the board.
Right.
And those were things that you can still remember. And so that's my goal is when I took over science, I said I want to do more of the hands-on and try to hit as many ways as possible. And I'll tell the kids, like when I was a kid, read chapter 1, answer questions 12 through 37, turn it in by the day.
That was a lot of what I got, yeah.
Right.
And nowadays it's like, okay, I want you to try, we're going to take notes today, we're going to read about it tomorrow, we're going to do hands-on with it, then we're going to watch a video of it, and then we're going to come back to it, and then we're going to try to answer. And it's changed the way we've taught science, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed there, that it helps them make more critical thinkers.
Yeah.
It'll make connections if it's if they enjoy it and it's fun and hands-on, and I think they'll remember it.
So obviously, I know you said you thought maybe pre-med or whatever, but even I find in the back of my mind, because obviously I had a radio television degree, radio was going to be my life, but, you know, obviously the good Lord puts things in front of you, other doors, and you go through them. But, you know, even with that being said, I think back there were a couple of key people in my life as a student that really, you know, left such a print on my heart and my experience that I wanted to get into education and give it a try. So who was that teacher or teachers for you?
And so that's where it's hard is I'm from a medical family. My mom was nurse practitioner. My stepdad was ambulance tech. So I spent every moment outside of school either at home or with them doing rounds, doing surgeries in the back of an ambulance, staying at the house. So my whole family pushed me to be med. So when I suddenly got to college and it didn't work out, I had that stumble of I have no clue what to do. And when I just realized with those physics kids, working with them, I was thinking about the 3 key science teachers I had at Lakeside in high school. And I went to the physics teacher's classroom, and I'm not going to name her name because she left it the year after that, so I'm trying to hide her. I went the year before because I had a lot of problems with some of the kids in the class and would just go to her room and do work in her room. So I also did all of her physics work because I was bored. So when I went to her class for physics the next year, she's like, here's your chance to do all these hands-on, pull these out. I want you to try to set some of this stuff up. And when I was trying to figure out for those physics kids in college, like, oh, that was one of the things I could do from this, or I could have used this, or I wish I had some of her tools from her closet. And that made it where I was like, I can take some small things and really make an impression with it. And I mean, it's really simple. I mean, I'm not going to speak for English or math because please don't put me in there for a while. But with science, it's like you can grab just paper and a magnifying glass and you can make a memory that they're not going to forget. And it's not like it cost a fortune. It's something that's simple. And those were the moments where, like I said, going to the creek for environmental science. I can't remember all the study we did, but I sure remember going there and actually trying to like count the fish and doing all the, I can remember for chemistry, turning fire different colors. They made it for instead of the reading science, it wasn't until I hit high school where we suddenly saw the hands-on. And I wish I'd had that younger because I had no clue what half that meant.
So speaking of chemistry, you're about the age, so I don't know if you would have been in there or not, but were you in there when the hood blew up in the class that day?
If I say no comment, you can't trace me, right?
Right.
There we go.
Yeah.
It will say, what is that? What is that when it's like past time? You can't go back and, you know.
Plausible deniability. I have no idea what
that's it. I couldn't think of the word.
Statute of limitations. And you know, she doesn't care if I tell her. It was Miss Self, Linda Self. And they were doing that thing in the jug where they're gonna poof something up, and then I get a call. I was principal at the time. And they're like, you got to get down here. The hood blew up. And I was like, blew up? And ended up going with one of the students to the emergency room. She was close enough, had got glass. And
she was okay.
Oh, yeah.
Miss Self was hilarious, like, because we'd go in there and, you know, chemistry at the beginning, especially if you don't have an idea, like memorizing all those periodic table of elements.
Oh my goodness.
So I remember one day I was like dozing half in class, sitting there, and she came out with an iron ball and one that's wrapped in tin foil, and she slammed them together. It made sparks and her desk caught fire, and she just didn't say a word, walked off And we're all sitting there staring at her desk on fire, and she's like, now that I have your attention. And I'm like, how on earth can I do that?
Yeah, right.
And I've even thought about it. Like, I'm in an elementary classroom. I don't have a hood. I have a fire extinguisher, but I'm like, can I set something on fire in my classroom?
Right, yeah.
How do I not set the smoke detector off?
Yeah.
How did you not set the smoke detector off?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm now much older, and I'm still like, how did
How
you
did
not
she
set
do
the smoke
that?
detector off?
That is
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
But see,
my
it's
gosh.
those kind of things, like you said. I mean, that caught your attention.
Yeah.
But also, you know, it got you involved in the lesson.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you said something about the periodic table. I talk about this a lot. I mean,
Should we test your knowledge of
what-
the periodic table?
no,
Aaron?
but what I'm
I
saying
think we
is,
should.
this is what my point
I vote
was.
yes.
Do
Hey,
it. Give him
hey,
one. Give
this-
him one.
This is what I'm going to say.
No.
Even though we had to learn it, right? Oh, I mean, is it that important in
Yes.
this day and age?
Okay, give
Yes.
him.
Learn
Give
it.
him one. Give him an easy.
Well,
one.
first I want to know why it's important to learn the.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go this. I borrowed from Dawson. Shout out Dawson. Still gonna shout it out. I borrowed an electrospectrometer this week. We were teaching about light refracting.
Right.
My kids, instead of doing the very simple, take the prism, shine a light through, which, be honest, I still haven't managed to get it to refract. I don't know
Right.
how they do it in the books.
Right.
Or to put a pencil in a glass of water and watch it bend. We borrowed refraction glasses to split all light into rainbows, and we
Right.
borrowed the spectrometer and we put different gases in, and it actually shows the energy of it change the light bulb there and refract the different colors. Like
Right.
red shows red,
Right.
orange, yellow.
Right.
Purple showed blue, green, indigo, and violet.
Right.
So those gases, knowing
Right.
them and their energy levels, actually help them understand how color reflects
Gotcha.
off of it. Along with that, simple things like synthetics are
Right.
from our chemicals, or how we got some better printing. So nowadays
Yeah.
you don't have to count how many papers we print as a
Yeah.
principal. But I've been tasked to see if you know some of the elements now.
I love
Hey,
this.
what-
Okay, this is
give
gonna
it,
be so
give
good.
it a shot.
Okay.
Give him some easy. Give him an easy one first.
Okay.
'Kay.
BR.
BR. That's barium.
Eh.
Okay, what is it?
Bromine.
Huh? It's what?
Bromine.
Yes, bromine.
Yeah, and what is bromine in? Well, I mean,
And the electrospectrometer.
okay, all right.
I did
Okay.
not know that either. I'll be honest.
All right.
Okay,
What's mercury?
Mercury.
come on, Darren.
I don't know that one either. It's been
Maybe an M.
nice. Yeah. See there.
What is mercury? I didn't say that. I knew
Hey,
the
I'll give
periodic
y'all a
table.
hint. It's way over there with you have to squint.
I can't see that far.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Okay, mercury. Does it have a Y with it? No.
It's one of those in the middle where they've ran out of letters. They put random ones with it. And that's where I love it. It's like, my kids, there's no way.
What is mercury?
I'm not giving you an answer. You've got a chance assignment now.
Okay,
I
I
am
gotta
a
go. I'm
teacher.
going to look. I'll be right
You've
back.
got to figure it out.
Hang
Okay.
on. I'm going to look.
So I'm trying to think.
It's in the dark blue in the middle.
Okay.
And see, that's where
We
it
could
is.
be
Like,
here a while. Yeah.
it's fun.
Okay. In the middle, he said.
It's not a common letter, is it?
What is it?
She hasn't got a microphone.
Oh, that's true.
HG.
HG.
I would never have gotten that.
And
Yeah.
that's where
But
it's fun.
why was it a different color?
So that's where I get my kids. They ask the question. So we jumped from like gases to those, and I'm like, some of these are gases, some are metals, some of them are based off their naming of them, so like alkaline metals versus noble gases, and then there's the simple ones in the middle that are usually your metals of their own. They're fourth grade. They're gonna get that in chemistry. I
Right.
shouldn't have to teach it, but it's nice to.
Just reference it.
So they have it in their mind that they've seen it before. It's not something brand new and scary to them.
Gotcha.
And that's where it's more fun with the elementary. I'm actually K through 8 certified. Don't know how that happened. Actually, I do, but it happened.
Right. Right.
But you like this age group probably the best, like
I
third,
describe
fourth,
it like this. If you do K1 and 2, they're the yes ma'am, no ma'am,
Yeah.
and you can't take your hands off them. Like you have to no,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
doing this. If you get to the older, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
No. And the attitudes crop up. If you're at the 4th grade,
Yeah.
they're still small enough that they're respectful, but
Right.
they're old enough they can start thinking on their own. So you can be like, today you're on your own. I'm not helping you. And they'll just
Right.
sit there and rattle off ideas and go with
Yeah.
it. It's that little golden age.
Right.
I'd suggest 4th.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Okay, so toss us a softball off the periodic table.
Carbon.
I don't know, CO?
It's just C.
Just C. I almost got it.
That's
Oh.
cobalt.
Okay, cobalt is CO.
And here's where I'm going to make a reference to Harry Potter. I'm going to shame for a second. No offense. Daniel Radcliffe, the voice actor or the actor for Harry Potter, has memorized the entire periodic table of elements and can sing it on TV in less than 3 minutes.
I have.
If you
That's an
put it
actor.
to music, I probably could memorize it because I can sing all the 50 states
I
because
challenge
of
accepted.
music.
I've got it. There's a song.
All right.
Oh, okay,
If
okay.
you look it up, there's a periodic element table of elements song. You can pull up on YouTube. It's on Spotify.
I actually saw him do that on one of the late night talk shows.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of rapped it that
Yeah.
particular night.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things like, why did he need that? Is it ever useful in his life? But then it's why you think like he was studying with his understudies and stuff and like his, what's it called? The people that take the fall for them and all the damage.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
stuntman. Mm-hmm.
But like, how did they change the fire to blue for Goblet of Fire? They used a certain chemical to make it burn
Yeah.
a different color. And
Right.
that's something they did with their science class with their
Yeah.
tutor while they were doing that. It's just,
Yeah. So, what about like hobbies, like even when you're not teaching and getting ready for all your cool science lessons and stuff like that?
I have been classified as a nerd, and I am okay with that.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, you're in great
Me
company
too.
over
Me
there.
too.
Right.
I'm good.
Miss Mayfield, whenever I was getting hired, she went to a student that left Cutter and come here, and she's like, "We're hiring this teacher. What can you tell me about him?" And he goes, "Well, he's a super nerd." And she texts me, "I'm putting him in detention because he had the sun insult." I was like, "No, that is okay.
You're like, I'm cool with that.
I'm fine with it. I play a lot of games, watch a lot of movies, TV shows, study a couple things, but mostly I spend like one night a week just watching the games or movies the kids are into because that's to make the connection.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
yeah.
really good.
And then the rest of it, I'm just going wild with it. And it's just hilarious because, like, I'll sit there and reference something, and the other teachers in the building will laugh at it because, like, I made a Point Break reference the other day, and there's 10 teachers, like, I've never seen that movie in my life. I have no clue what you're
You
talking
know what it's about? Point Break.
Is this a surfing movie?
No, it's the bicycle movie.
Huh?
Isn't it? That's the bike racer. No,
I'm thinking the old one.
Oh, Point Break it is. That's with
Kurt Russell. No, Kurt Russell.
Is Keanu in that?
Keanu Reeves, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And see, then I'll make a reference for something the current kids know,
Mhm.
and then I'll make a reference to something my grandmother's grandmother knew.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I
Yeah.
think it's fun to go through and like reference those. And I've been trying to figure out a way, if I can ever figure it out. I kind of want to make a mural of like all the scientific discoveries that tie with a movie where we feared it. So
Right.
like Jurassic Park, we first started
Yep.
cloning, so we made Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Nuclear energy and Godzilla,
Mm-hmm.
space and the Alien series. Like those ones crack me up.
Yeah.
That, like kids nowadays are so just, oh, it's just a movie that's been around forever. And I'm like, but it's based in a scientific fear we didn't
Right.
know.
Yeah,
Right.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I
Well,
do.
what you're learning here, the older you get, your brain only has so much storage space, and as you get older, the things that become important
Yeah.
to you push out those that were a little irrelevant along the path.
My nieces will be saying stuff, and I'm like, what does that mean? Because we're not in the school right now, so we're not up with the
Yeah,
lingo
exactly.
at this
Yeah.
point, you know.
Be
Yeah.
glad of that.
Yeah.
Go is
Yeah. Let's talk about that. So
Yeah.
so what's
Yeah,
what's
the
cool
current?
slang word?
See if we know what it means. Give us a word.
I'm gonna say this and it's gonna be fun. Yeah, sure. Skibbity, Ohio,
Oh yeah.
those things.
What is Ohio? I heard that the other day.
It's a state.
A state. Yeah, but when they use
It's
it,
a state.
they
It's-
well, I know it's a state, but
No,
they're not
it's-
using.
Does it have
that
another
reference.
meaning? Does it have
No,
another
that's
meaning?
what it is. It's the state, but it's such a low state with nothing going on.
Oh, I
but it's
gotcha.
considered now like it references that it's like worthless or not good or anymore.
Yeah.
But they're still using it like calling it the state. So it's always fun when
gosh.
someone's like, the kid said Ohio. What's it mean? I was like, it's a state.
Yeah.
No, what are they saying? They're calling it a state.
Yeah.
They're still doing it. They're just referencing it that they call it boring. And it's
Yeah.
their media they consume just grabs all these
yeah.
different words
Well,
and they don't know them.
I saw a teacher the other day, yesterday on Instagram. One of them, anyway. She said she was trying to be cool, use Skibbity and Riz, and they finally looked at her and they said, "Miss, you know what? You are so corny." And she goes, "Corny? What does that mean?" He said, "Corny. Nerdy, whatever." And she goes, "Oh, that hadn't changed through the years."
It still means that?
Yeah, exactly.
No, and their words, like, they change every 5 years, supposedly, but nowadays it's like every other year they've got new words they've added in, or
Yeah.
they've changed the meaning for them.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
can't even fully know. Our kids now will say a word, I'm like, that's not school appropriate. But
Right.
I didn't know what it meant, and I was like, just know it's not school appropriate.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't say it again.
Yeah. Miss Bennett, as an assistant principal, she would tell them, "I'm going to go look that up in the Urban Dictionary." And they're like, "Oh no, don't."
Yeah,
Don't.
they asked me at lunch one day what something was. I won't say what it is, and I said, and I was pretty quick, so I was like, "Oh, do I need to look that up, Urban Dictionary?" Oh, no, Miss Bennett, don't do it.
Yeah.
Of course, I did, and then I'm going to the principal like, "Donald, look at this! Can
Yeah.
you believe this?"
So
Anyway.
so what do you do? How do you handle a kid that just flat out tells you he can't or she can't?
I don't have that as much after the first 2 weeks. I tell my kids, and this could sound horrible, so don't be mad. I tell them I'm torturing them the first day of school, and I will torture them every single day. And so I'll say, go suffer. Like, I'll sit at my table the
Yeah.
second week of school, say, go suffer away from me.
Right.
Because they've got learned helplessness now. They come
Yeah.
up to you, I can't do it, after 3 seconds. So I show them, it's a little tiny cat toy and a little, like, pet toy. It rolls forward, and it rolls the same distance back. And they've got a whole 2 days of engineering design, building it as a group of 3 with coffee tin, rubber bands, paper clips, and lug nuts. What I don't tell them is I don't give them enough weight. So theirs
Right.
will never roll back. It will just constantly roll forward. So they spend 2 days struggling. It's not working. Go suffer. It's not working. Go suffer. And then they come up to me that last day, and I'm like, well, here's the deal. Yours won't, but did you create something new from trying it?
Right.
So when they come up now, I can't, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Go suffer, go try.
Right.
And like yesterday, we did a lab. We went outside. I only had, of 96 kids, 1 kid actually like, it's not working. And I'm like, I'm not helping you.
Right.
You can try to figure this out on your own. You can try. And they really do love the challenge of it. They go
That's great.
Yeah.
straight for it. And it's always fun because the older kids, especially at Cutter, would be like, so have they failed yet?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about failure.
Oh, yeah.
It's good. It's
Yeah.
good to fail. You
Yeah, I
learn
mean,
from that.
You fail forward. Failure is part of the process. You're probably the youngest guest we've had that I've asked this to. It's a new question I've got, but this is a what if, or if you had the opportunity, would you want to be able to, if you had like a magic lamp or something, or a time machine, and you could go forward into the future and see what's going on, or go back in the past and change a few things, which one would you choose? So future, see what's ahead,
Tough.
or go back and correct some of the wrongs, or
I won't go to the future because we're constantly changing so much that I fear if I went forward even 2 years, I wouldn't know how most things would work with
Right.
technology-wise.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
But honestly, I've thought about going back in the past before. Like, would I want to go back and change something about, like, when I was at school or when I was going through college or with my family? And I was like, nothing with those, because those are the things that make me
who
me.
you are. Yeah.
We talked about that. Yeah.
The only thing I'd do is I'd probably go back, because I can still remember, this would sound really bad, I still remember before the Y2K thing, being on the old dial-up computer, looking at a stock market, because we did a stock market game in middle school,
Yeah.
and I accidentally got on the real stock market and found Apple, and I thought it was a food, and I wish now I had clicked yes.
Oh yeah.
That's the only thing I can think about is going back
Oh,
and
yes.
Yeah.
if I'd clicked yes,
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
that's all I could think if I'd
Yeah.
want to go back. Like, nothing else I'd want to change.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I said. Go back and we know what the lottery numbers are.
Right.
Let me just go get that lottery ticket.
And even that, I'm like, would I want the lottery because then
Yeah.
they podcast your name or any of that, or would I like that because it's something of like I figured this out or I
Yeah.
learned, or then it's a learning
Yeah.
experience from there. But then I also
Right.
think then I'd have the money for it. It would change, like I wouldn't need this, or I wouldn't have to work as
Right.
hard.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I'd want to go back. I mean,
Okay.
I'd like to go back, take pictures of things.
Sure. Oh yeah.
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 I'd love to do stuff like that, but I wouldn't want to change anything of mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
awesome.
Okay. Fill in the blank here. Teaching is.
I'm gonna quote a song. They say that I'm on vacation 'cause every day I love my occupation.
Okay.
If you become a teacher,
Mm,
I've had co-teachers and teachers of my own that are jaded.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I admit I have days I snap at the kids, but usually I'm
Right.
like, we can talk about it, why we've done it.
Right.
You should enjoy what you do and try to make it enjoyable for them.
Right.
Mhm.
I've taught for
So
multiple
good.
years
Mhm.
with, if I have fun with it, they're more curious because I'm enjoying it.
Right.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
all I can think is, if it's supposed to be a job,
Right.
you're supposed to enjoy it.
I think that's where the passion piece kicks in. Like you're saying, whether you're teaching or whatever your chosen field of, will be, if you have passion about it, it's going to flow out. There's no doubt.
And that's why my mom, like, when I left the med programs, she was really upset with me because that's what they'd
Right.
pushed me since I was little. I'm supposed to be a surgeon, supposed to make the money,
Mhm.
get up there and go higher than theirs. And one day she stopped me and she was just on the phone. She goes, "Hey, I just have a question. Are you happy with what you do?"
Right.
Mhm.
And I said, "Yeah, I love what I do." I said, "I may go home and gripe some days, and you have to
Right.
get the venom out because
Yep.
you're stored it all day. You
Right.
don't want to throw it at a kid that doesn't deserve it."
Yeah.
But I said, I'm happy with what I do." She goes, "That's all I can ask for your future is that you be
Oh,
happy."
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why, we have one son, and that was always what I told him. And he can recite it, obviously, but since he was about that tall, when we'd be driving home from school or whatever, I'd tell him, faith and family first, find your passion, make a difference, and stay humble, and everything else is going to shake out.
Yep.
But here's one of my favorite questions, or maybe a statement, but share with us an embarrassing moment. I know you've had to have that in teaching science with hands-on stuff and young ones.
I'm gonna be a bit different. It's not embarrassing for me. I really
Right.
don't. If it's for the kids, I don't care how
Right.
bad it is.
Right.
So like this year, we were doing our social contract for our district or our building,
Okay.
and we made a couple references to things throughout training. And without missing a beat, I drew this little stick figure, sent it to my vice principal, and said, "I want an outfit." So we did a giant school assembly, and there's me and my vice principal, golden fingerless gloves to our elbows, golden leg warmers with gold antenna on, and we are the Ringoldians. And now
Oh,
I've even
I
got a
gotcha.
gold fanny pack and cape, and I got a
Right.
mascot head,
That's
and I'm like,
great.
I don't care because the
Right.
kids are having fun with
Yeah,
that.
they love it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've had things where I'm like, that didn't do so well, but I'm like, did the kids enjoy it? Like I've tripped and
Oh, yeah.
fallen, but
Oh, yeah.
I tell them I'm clumsy anyway. So
Yeah.
like nothing
Yeah.
really embarrasses me with teaching.
Right.
And that's good because it helps them if something happens to them. They know how to
Yeah.
respond,
Oh,
not
100%.
get upset. But yeah, we
Yeah.
get it. We've kissed
Yeah.
pigs and
yeah.
dumped
Right.
ice water on our heads and danced
Yeah.
in front of the
Right.
everybody, and it's fun. You
Right.
got to have fun.
So no, not embarrassing. I love it.
Yeah.
It cracks me up. Have the best time.
That's awesome.
Okay, as we wrap up here, I give your best sales pitch for folks that are on the fence about teaching as a career.
I know most people would talk to you about the summer breaks and not having to do those.
Right.
But they don't tell you do have to do some long hours like meeting parents,
Sure.
being there with them. The only sales pitch I can tell you is if you practice or like spend time with a kid and you're trying it to see if it's for you,
Mm-hmm.
and you see them have that aha moment and you feel like that's something you want to try to do, or you think about a teacher that's not been good for you and how you could do it different, that's your sales pitch. You're looking
Right.
at something that's not been right that you want to change, or something
Right.
that you enjoy and can see you going forward. Those are the things.
Love it.
Right. That's awesome.
Love it.
Well, thanks for taking the time to visit with us today.
Yes,
We've
I've
enjoyed our
enjoyed
visit
it.
here.
Yeah.
I always welcome for people, especially
Yeah.
Dawson.
Yeah.
I don't say no to them. I try to steal them more
Right.
often.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Take the help from Dawson.
Okay. So
And we did. This is not a paid promotion.
and so what did we learn today, Candace?
We
We don't-
learned mercury.
We don't know squat about
What's
the periodic
mercury?
table.
What's mercury?
It's something
What
that used to
letters?
be in thermometers and all
I just
that.
looked it up. What was it?
M. No.
What's carbon?
Carbon is C.
There you go. Stop.
What? Hey, what about H2O and all those good things? You know.
He didn't give you the easy ones.
Okay. Okay. All right.
That's 2 elements.
That's two
Yeah.
elements. That's hydrogen and oxygen.
There you go.
So,
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You also learned you probably need to listen to the element song and maybe
Yeah.
speed on the way home.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Speed on the way home because we got to get the money the police that get the ticket money and they put it in the
Oh.
grant from the Game and is it Game
Yeah.
and Fish or the
Yeah,
state?
I
Police
learned
grant?
that. I signed up for the Game
Yeah.
and Fish grant. I just was trying it last year,
Yeah.
won it, and then I
Yeah.
learned that the money from speeding tickets goes to that. You can sign up for schools. So
Yeah.
now I'm trying to convince them to speed on the way home so
Yeah.
I can get more
Yeah.
money next year.
Yeah.
So everybody out there, when you get pulled over and you get a ticket, just know
It's for the kids.
It's for the kids, and
There
it's
you
a
go.
good cause.
Yeah.
It's for the kids. There you go.
Okay.
There's your other sales pitch.
Yeah. Okay. That is
Yeah.
something to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll take a little bit of the sting out of getting a ticket.
Sure.
That's right.
Yeah,
We
just
thank you
picture
for the-
my face.
Yeah. That's right. Exactly.
Mr. Mays is
yeah.
going to apply for the grant.
Yeah.
My speeding ticket
Right.
went toward that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
all.
man, you're doing great stuff.
You're doing a great
Yeah.
job.
And
Great job.
we appreciate the fact that you were willing to take the time to share it with us. So.
Yes.
No problem. I always
Uh,
am happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Spilling the Tea in Studio D on the road. Again, until next time, this is Darren Beckwith.
Candace Bennett.
Yeah. And
I'm Mr. Mace.
there you go. Till next time, we'll see y'all.